Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be diving into something I've been thinking about a lot lately.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this whole idea of like global power, you know? Like can one person really bully the entire world?
That's an interesting question. Yeah, I mean, especially these days, right?
Exactly. And we've got some super interesting analysis to help us unpack this. So
I'm ready.
let's get into it.
Okay.
So the first thing our source dives into is this idea of like the limits of power.
Right.
Like, it's not as simple as it used to be, right? It's
Yeah.
not like one country can just, like, boss everyone else around anymore.
No, definitely not. I mean, think about it. We live in a multipolar world now.
Multipolar.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there are multiple centers of power, you know. You've got the US obviously, but also China, the EU, Russia,
Right, right.
and they're all kind of vying for influence, you know. So it's not like the US can just dictate terms on everything like trade or climate change, for example.
Makes sense. It's kind of like a group project, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has to contribute.
Exactly. And it's not just about individual countries either, right? You've got all these global institutions too.
Well, yeah, like the UN and stuff.
Exactly. The UN, the World Trade Organization, the International Court of Justice, all these institutions create this whole web of rules and norms that even the most powerful countries have to navigate.
Huh. So it's like a global system of checks and balances.
Kinda, yeah. It definitely makes things more complicated.
I bet. Okay, so we've talked about other countries and these global institutions, but what about allies? Like, do they always just go along with what a powerful leader wants?
Not necessarily. You know,
Yeah.
even in the strongest alliances, there's going to be pushback sometimes.
Especially if those allies feel like their own interests are at stake.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
think about debates over NATO spending or trade deals or military intervention.
Right, right. It's like even in a close friendship, you don't agree on everything all the time.
Totally. And speaking of friends, you know, before we get too deep into this, I just
Yeah.
wanted to take a quick second to give a shout out to all of our amazing listeners.
Yes. Thank you all so much for being a part of this community and for supporting us by hitting that subscribe button.
It really does mean a lot to us, and it helps us to keep making these deep dives that we all enjoy.
Exactly. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and telling your friends about the show.
Yeah, we appreciate each and every one of you.
Okay, so now back to the topic at hand. We were talking about allies pushing back.
Right, and that kind of leads into this other point about the nature of the challenges we face today.
Oh, yeah, like those big global issues.
Exactly. Things like climate change, pandemics, cybersecurity threats. These are not problems that any one country can solve on their own, no matter how powerful they are.
It's true. It's like you can't just tweet your way out of a global pandemic.
Uh-huh. Nope. These issues require cooperation, not coercion.
Cooperation.
Yeah, working together, finding common ground. You know, you can't just impose a one-size-fits-all solution on a diverse world like ours.
Because different countries have different cultures and political systems.
Exactly. It's all about understanding and respecting those differences.
Okay, so we've talked about the limits of power from other countries, global institutions, and these big complex challenges. But our source also mentions these domestic constraints.
Oh, right. Like, even within a country like the US, a leader isn't all powerful.
There are checks and balances within the government itself, right?
Exactly. You've got Congress, the courts, public opinion. All these factors can limit what a leader can actually do.
So even on the home front, power is never absolute.
Nope. And then you have to think about the long-term consequences, too. A leader's actions on the global stage can have a ripple effect, you know, shaping relationships and alliances for years to come.
It's like a domino effect.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's definitely not as simple as just one person calling all the shots.
Okay, so after all this discussion, let's come back to that initial question. Can one person really bully the entire world?
Well, bullying might not be the perfect word, but individuals can definitely exert significant influence.
In what way?
Well, think about how a leader's actions can shift global norms, disrupt traditional alliances, force other countries to rethink their strategies. It's not about brute force, it's more about navigating this complex web of relationships and institutions and challenges.
So it's less about bullying and more about understanding and working within that system.
Exactly. True power in today's world comes from collaboration, not coercion.
Wow, that's a really important takeaway. So to sum it all up, it seems like the days of one person dictating terms to the entire world are over.
Yeah, for sure.
We're in a multipolar world where power is more spread out, and global cooperation is absolutely essential to tackling the challenges we all face.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So that leaves us with a final thought to ponder. If traditional bullying doesn't really work on a global scale, What are the new forms of influence emerging in our interconnected world?
That's a great question.
And how will those new forms of influence shape international relations in the future?
Lots to think about there.
Definitely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'd love to hear your thoughts on these questions, so feel free to leave us a comment. And as always, a huge shout out to all of our subscribers. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and spread the knowledge.
Yeah, spread the love.
Until next time, keep exploring.
See ya.
Bye.